You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Small Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at sacrifice, you got a 33 and a third chance of winning. But I got a 66 and two-thirds chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So, Samoa Joe, you take your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning at sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning, if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 and two-thirds percent, I got a 141 and two-thirds chance of winning at sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice.
It's a cool day in Cincinnati, but a hot show tonight here on the High Council, or whatever we call it on Tuesday nights. Folks, welcome into your Tuesday night show here on World Class Bullshitters, the epitome of pop culture. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight are my two wonderful co-hosts. First off, all the way from the Rippaverse, which is just south of Albuquerque, say hello to the one, the only, Andy Andrew.
What is going on, chat? What is going on, Jeff? Hail to y'all. It is good to be back. I'm excited. We've got a great show lined up for you guys. It's been a great day for me. I woke up and saw the new Jurassic World trailer, and then I was reminded because of Jeff's tweet that this week is when the new Mission Impossible comes out. And so I was just doubly excited today for movies.
Dude, I'm excited too. I've been hitting up a lot of films lately, and we'll talk about those the deeper we get into the show. Folks, another wonderful co-host this evening from the Great White North, though I don't know how white it is this time of year. We're talking about the snow, not the people. Say hello to the one, the only, the Script Doctor.
Oh, you'd be surprised. A lot of the people have got sun out this week, so I actually have a tan for the first time since last summer, actually. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not as pale. What's funny is that when you take my glasses off, I do have a tan line of where my glasses are on my face. So
oh, no.
It's quite silly. My girlfriend's been laughing at it every night.
As is justified.
It's like a white domino mask.
How lucky or unlucky are you with that thing? Well, that's a topic for another time.
It hasn't changed the routine. It's just added another bit to it.
You should change your image and make your skin slightly darker, but keep your white glasses the same. I think that would be very on brand.
I
for
should
you right
try
now.
and figure out a way to do that quick, where I tan myself, but I remove the glasses so it's a white outline.
If you send me a high resolution picture or one that you use, I can make that for you if you really want that. It wouldn't be a problem.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But folks, we have all sorts of wonderful things to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about this crazy lawsuit. I got an email from the Hollywood Reporter talking about an AI-based lawsuit / complaint / something to do with Fortnite. It's a weird time to be alive. We also are going to talk about the box office for the upcoming Mission Impossible, but not in the way you think, because Andrew found a really great gem of a video that got me thinking about what's going to be changing in the world of entertainment. Because over the last few weeks, actually over the last few years, every discussion's been about AI taking over. But I was listening to an episode of the Rogan podcast the other day, and they were talking about how you could possibly make a whole AI movie for $500K. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff in the industry, all the fun stuff we're going to talk about, and we're definitely not going to talk about the Denver Broncos, because since John Elway left that team, they have been shit. But, folks, we have a hell of a show for you tonight, so hit that thumbs up button, and let's give a shout-out to our pal Georgian, who says Steiner did the math with 100 gorillas versus the genetic freak himself on X. Also, no word of the day today. Last week's was meh. Well, so Georgian, I'm sorry you did not enjoy it. Our friend Shrubbles08 sent it in right as the show went live. But let's talk about your Steiner math with the gorillas. Now, if you'd like, so Georgian, I can read you that because I have the tweet pulled up right here.
Well, man, when I saw it, I was like, this is brilliant.
Amazing.
See, I love that Scott Steiner is very aware of everything. He knows where he sits. He knows where he stands, I should say, because the genetic freak doesn't sit for anyone. But I saw this the other day and I chuckled because I love when wrestlers get in on the meme. There's nothing worse than somebody famous that's like, I don't know why that's funny. Ugh, that's beneath me. You get a lot of crappy people that are acting like that. But Scott Steiner is not one of those crappy people. So Georgian, I should figure out how to clone Scott Steiner's voice and make this button. But it goes something like this. Let's say you got 100 average men. No weapons, no training, just fear in their eyes and dad bods in their way. Then you got one full-grown silverback gorilla, 600 pounds of pure rage, muscle, and tree-ripping power. Now, here comes the math. Out of those 100 men, maybe 25% don't even show up once they see the gorilla. That's 25 cowards eliminated immediately. Then you got 33 and a third of them trying to talk it out. They're done. Another 20% just stand there frozen, pissing their pants. Now you're left with about 21 guys, panicked, half contaminated, and getting launched like lawn darts. But what if Big Papa Pump is in the mix? You just tipped the freaking scale. Now it's not 100 men versus one gorilla, it's one gorilla versus the genetic freak, and that spells disaster for the gorilla.
What the hell?
Hey, those are the words of Scott Steiner, the big bad booty daddy. And you don't question Steiner math.
I think he could do it.
I mean, this is what he looks like for those who are like, who's Scott Steiner? That's Scott Steiner, okay?
Already a gorilla, essentially.
Yeah. That is a beast of a man, a genetic freak, if you will. So Georgian, thank you very much. I think Scott Steiner could do it. I think Scott Steiner could take down King Kong. Scott Steiner could take down Godzilla. I think Scott Steiner could take down literally anyone. Like, if there is an alien invasion, maybe I need to meet Scott Steiner and say, listen, Scott, I got a great idea. I want to pitch a comic book. Scott Steiner takes over the universe. And it's you saving the world from an alien invasion. You just fucking flex your biceps and pop an alien's head open. I think he'd go for it. I think the audience would go for it. What do you guys think?
I think it needs to be Scott Steiner, Defender of the Universe.
Yes, there we go. I'll make sure you get a credit on the book now.
Thank you. Because he wouldn't take over the universe as much of as a genetic freak as he is. He'd just be the center of attention. Or, no, there you go. Scott Steiner, center of the universe.
Big Papa Pump in space.
Yeah.
I'm just going to draw this picture, I think. I have the time now. Holler if you hear me. I do hear you, Scott.
Does that mean you finished Stealing Solo Part 2?
Oh, no. But, like, I don't draw at every minute of every day. Okay. I warm up every day because I don't know about other artists out there, but if I go in cold, it's like, the page doesn't sing as well as it should. So I like to do a drawing warm-up. It's usually a bunch of bodies and random-ass poses, maybe a couple of women. The other day I drew Magneto. You know, that's it. It's only about 20 minutes, and then it's onto the book. But I'm excited to bring that to everybody. Folks, if you are interested in books, make sure you check out WokebustersComic.com. We have been moving books ever since the ad went live on Saturday. So thank you to everybody who's backed it. Yeah, it's crazy, man. You make an ad, people see it, they click on it, and then you ship out the book. One dude bought a book yesterday at 3 o'clock, and it was in the mail by 4:45. So nice. I don't know how many people have a turnaround time like that, but all I can say is that we're world-class here on the channel, and we really want you to read these books. So there's the plug for right now, and now it's back to the show. So, Georgian, thank you very much. I apologize, man, but Shrebbles08 did bring us the word of the day, and the word of the day is Porkins. Debbie does Porkins. I ain't watching that one. Well, no. Hot Tub Porkins Machine, Porkins Horizon, Baby Porkins, A Night at the Porkins, and A Fistful of Porkins.
Rogue Porkins.
I feel like this works better if you remove the S and it's just Porkin, because then you have Hot Tub Porkin Machine.
All right, then we're changing the word, an addendum to the word of the day. It's now just Porkin.
Yeah, I feel like that's, and maybe that's the kid in me that watched Ace Ventura, the whole pork in your wife bit, but like, I feel it works better that way. Lord of the Porkin.
All's porkin on the Western Front.
Live and let porkin? Or no, pork and let die. There we go.
Porkin is forever.
Yeah, I like that. Dude, where's my porkin?
Porkin on the Ritz.
Porkin Silverman.
Porkin' Amy.
Sling porkin.
I have done that, Andrew. Anyway, sling porkin. Oops. Anyway, what other porkin title can I give you? Porkin Man. Yeah. No porkin for old men. There you go. There's my final one.
American porkin.
Folks, send us your porkin titles all night long. As you noticed here tonight, we have this new feature. You can see the chat on screen. That's a new option here on StreamYard. So if you like that, hit a thumbs up right now or put a 1 in the chat. We'd love to know. But you guys can be a part of the show and we'll read your porkin titles like Full Metal Porkin from Lester San Jose. Reddy brings us Deep Blue Porkin.
Oh, gosh.
Brett Act, thank you for being a member.
Someone's into a Twi'lek.
Hey, I don't judge. If it's in a galaxy far, far away, it may not be for me, but hey, it's good for them. Let's see. Porkin' All the Way. I like that one too. Or Porkin' on the Ritz. That could be a song.
Resident Porkin.
Wrongfully porkin.
Scary Porkin'.
Nightmare on Porkin Street. Or Porkin on Elm Street.
Yeah, Porkin' on Elm Street, dude. Nancy's mom was a drunk. Who knows what was going on?
Yep. Big porkin in Little China.
That might be my favorite one.
I know we claim to be world class and a high council and all this stuff, but we're like 12 years old right now, and
That's
I am
okay.
on board.
You know what? That is okay.
Home Alone 7 lost a new porkin. Thank you, folks, for sending in your Word of the Day titles. Keep sending them in. They will pop up on screen, and if you catch our attention, as always in a positive way, you will be praised and thanked here on WCBS, the epitome of pop culture. We have one more message from our friend Xavier to God. Script, have you ever considered writing for games?
Yes. Have I ever had the opportunity? No. I am working with a buddy on some puzzles for a game that he's putting together. It's an old school like side scroller thing.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's about as close as I get. But I'm getting paid like a couple of bucks for that because it's basically going to be the cheapest game you'll find on Steam when he eventually releases it.
Okay.
Is it enough to get you a combo meal in America?
Maybe if the economy keeps going better, yes.
Okay. Like, I went to New York as a kid, and we ate at McDonald's in this mall, and it was really expensive. My mom was like, I can't believe McDonald's is this much. And nowadays, McDonald's here is more expensive than it was in New York back in the day. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember you could get 3 cheeseburgers for $1 in Canada when I was a kid.
talk about the golden age, man. Let's go back to that era, get a couple cheeseburgers, and watch the Red Green Show. That just sounds like a good day.
Yeah, and gas being $1.50 a gallon.
God, my hip hurts just thinking about this.
My hip hurt just getting out of bed this morning.
It was 40 cents a liter when I started driving.
We're the same age.
Yeah, but you're still older. I'm the youngest one here by, what, a couple of weeks?
I was going to say, not by much, man. That's...
I know. Look, we're not even going to get into that, all right? Everything functions. We're still alive. Once we have the dementia kick in, we'll just forget to do the show. That'll be a sad day here on the channel for everyone else.
Or we'll just forget we all know each other and we just all end up in the same place because we still somehow remembered that we had the show. We're all, who the hell are you? Why are you here?
Yeah. Now, why the hell we're here right now, or at least why the hell what is on your screen is because I had a great chuckle at this story. So, what is on your screen is Darth Vader, but he comes from a video game called Fortnite. And I know we joked about how old we are, but I do think it's safe to say that we're all of the age where Fortnite is not really a thing to any of us. We're all aware of it, but I don't play it. I literally tried it one time, and then I was like, oh, it's like PUBG for kids, and I just uninstalled it off the Switch.
It's PUBG for kids. Yeah, it's PUBG after PUBG did it first.
Yep.
Essentially.
And I just, like Marvel Rivals, it's not the kind of game I want to play. I don't get very conscious of my video game or entertainment choices. If I want to watch something, I watch it. If I want to
Mhm.
buy something, I buy it. But there's something to me. Fortnite is like a kid's game, and it feels weird as an adult playing it. Now, if you're out there and you're a king at Fortnite, hey, more power to you. Shoot 'em up. All right, I used to play Halo and Gears of War and all that shit, so I'm a gamer too, just of an older generation. But the one thing that has always kept my attention with Fortnite is the fact that they bring in iconic characters. They'll have Indiana Jones. They've had the Mandalorian. They've had tons of crossover characters. They've had actors. I think The
Godzilla
Rock
recently.
was Godzilla. But now they have Darth Vader. And the cool thing about Darth Vader being included in Fortnite isn't because it's just Darth Vader, but you have the AI voice of James Earl Jones. And I've heard clips of this. It sounds great. If this is going to be the future of Darth Vader's voice in entertainment, maybe I'll give a Darth Vader show a shot if they don't fuck up the story. But today's news made me laugh at the failure associated with this. So the Screen Actors Guild has filed an unfair labor practice charge against Epic Games subsidiary Llama Productions for using an AI generated voice of Darth Vader in Fortnite without notifying or negotiating with the union. The AI voice replicating James Earl Jones' iconic performance was introduced in Fortnite's Chapter 6 Season 3 with approval from Jones's estate. SAG-AFTRA argues that the move replicated a human performance's works with violating the collective bargaining agreement, as if bypassed the voice actors who previously matched Vader's tone in games. The union, on strike since July 2024, I don't know if that's accurate, over AI productions, claimed Llama Productions failed to bargain in good faith. The National Labor Relations Board may investigate, but under the administration, shifts towards employer-friendly policies would impact the outcome. This case highlights broader concerns about AI displacing voice actors in the industry. So that is the entirety of the situation, and we're going to talk about that right now. But Script, as someone who knows the process, the guilds, the unions, how these things work, what are your thoughts of this?
It's absurd. So for those of you who may not have been following me and say the actor strike that occurred a couple of years back, I was a big critic of Duncan Crabtree Ireland. He is the head counsel for negotiating of SAG-AFTRA, and he did not do a good enough job with protecting actors' rights. He actually had like a very boilerplate, easy to manipulate, easy to compromise their talent when it comes to AI stuff. However, James Earl Jones's estate and James Earl Jones himself, when he was alive, sold specifically his Darth Vader voice. Now, not his actual voice, not the other voices he had ever done in other cartoons, just Darth Vader. He had sold that to Disney with a contract that would stipulate that Disney and any owner of the Darth Vader voice would be paying out regularly sums of cash to his family estate, so such as his children, grandchildren, and so forth, in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. So he took a step further than any other actor has ever done when it comes to the licensing of a certain characteristic of themselves that can be used in another property. So everything he did was above board, and he did it under control. He signed it. Everything was great. The problem is that certain members, I strongly suspect that Duncan Crabtree Ireland is one of them, didn't get a taste of that. And so he is suing Fortnite and by way of Disney as well
Disney owns a very large share in Epic Games now.
Yes. So I think he is possibly associated. I could be wrong, but I think he's associated with this lawsuit, which is a lawsuit from the union against Disney and Epic Games and Fortnite, because they think that another actor should be the foundation of the voice, and then it can be replaced or it can be modified so that it sounds like James Earl Jones doing Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. The problem being is that this particular application of it is using an AI model to sound like James Earl Jones. It doesn't quite nail it, but it's pretty close. I mean, there are certain things that James Earl Jones does that this AI can't replicate. And they're upset by that because they're trying to argue that, you've taken a job away from another actor that could be the performance that the James Earl Jones voice would be laid over top of. Very similar to the actor who played Grand Moff Tarkin, not in Star Wars, but in Rogue One. Because that was another actor, and they digitally put Peter Cushing's face over top of it, and he was also able to impersonate the voice quite effectively. and that's what they're trying to argue, is that's what should be the case for this. However, this is a new technology. This is a new feature with the game, which is that's an interactive kind of sprite that you play with. So you can talk to it and it will talk back to you by way of using an AI model like a ChatGPT or something. So, and also you can actually kind of manipulate it to say a bunch of very silly things or offensive things in the Darth Vader voice, which
F you, Obi-Wan.
yeah, which for now, the estate of James Earl Jones has no issues with. They don't care. No, sure.
That's the best part.
But really, this is just a union. Certain members of that union that saw the very thing that I warned about when they were on strike and negotiating, because they didn't put in the effort to actually have this level of control. Funnily enough, on the Writers Guild side of things, you cannot have an AI function in any level of script development at all. It is 100% prohibited. And it's a reinforced rule that says from like 40 or 50 years ago that a writer is a human being. So it's already said that, you can't be anything other than a human being, which means that if we ever to meet Vulcans or Klingons and they wanted to be screenwriters of the WGA, they wouldn't qualify because they're not human beings. They're another species.
Damn it.
And again, machines are not human beings, so therefore they do not qualify. But this further just reinforces the idea of that. No such stipulation is technically in the SAG-AFTRA agreement as far as I've been able to find. But I have been looking into older ones to see, because it's a growing document. Like it changes, evolves, it has amendments, it goes back and forth all the time. So it gets pretty dense as the decades pass. But I think it's kind of humorous because they have no foot to stand on, because the owner of the voice of that particular character did everything above board to with that voice prior to his passing away, and that is a legally binding contract that SAG can't get its paws on. And I think SAG's pivot is trying to say that an AI model cannot be used for a performance of a deceased actor or to replace an existing actor. And that's going to be tricky because currently right now, SAG has been on strike with video game companies for the last almost 2 years because they haven't been getting a great deal. So, no, this is a silly lawsuit. It's a civil lawsuit because it can't go through any arbitration within the unions. So it's because it's a union against a company. It's already been done. It's not a proposed idea that could be brought up into contention or anything of that nature. So, yeah, it's going to be a civil case. It's going to be a waste of a lot of time and money on both parties. And it's going to end up with nothing changing as far as I can tell.
Our friend Sejourjan, who's been a member for 27 months, says SAG continues to reveal how scummy they are. They got hell with the Genshin Impact community when their VA went completely nuts after getting sympathy for their strike and finding out China has AI laws on voice acting. Have you heard about this one, Script?
Yeah, China has some AI laws on voice acting. However, also China and South Korea and even Japan have horrible working conditions for talent. If you ever wonder why, how come manga can get made so quickly and is released so well and it's beautiful, it's because most of those artists are metaphorically chained to a drawing table and they're just pumping it out like a machine.
It is a miserable existence. I have looked into all of that stuff. I know. I've never seen it in person, but I've watched a ton of videos about it. And so, Georgian, forgive me, I don't remember the exact artist because I only know a handful of Japanese artists. But the one guy had a schedule where he had sleep was only 2 hours a day. Every other day, he had to stay up and do this work.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. I couldn't comprehend. There's a point in the day where I'm just I'm too tired. If I'm working on something, I go, I'll finish this in the morning. I'll ink it later. I'll take a break. I couldn't imagine trying to keep that schedule up. And I'm really happy that people love manga and that they want to do these things. It is voluntary after all.
Well, it starts ridiculous. Out
that way. Yeah. Look, if I had a company that was we need more from you, I would just be buy it from me. Just buy it from me. It's $5 million. There you go.
Yeah. $5 million, set yourself up with some nice offshore accounts with a high yield interest rate.
Shit. if I could get, what was
some
it?
stocks and investments, some bonds.
Dude, somebody in the Diddy case got like $21 million or something like that, and if they put it in this account because it's some kind of lawsuit where they don't have to pay taxes on it, it'll net them $1 million a year in interest. And I'm like, shit, I need to get to that level because if I got $1 million a year in interest, I'd be the happiest man on the planet. But
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go to a Diddy party for it. But,
No.
to go back to your point, though, it's so interesting how a lot of people really we talk about working conditions in so many different fields, but there's this allure of manga and anime, but they have some of the harshest conditions to create that stuff. And I'm not saying that you have to care enough, like, oh man, that guy works 29 hours a day, quotes. He should, I'm not going to watch the show out of whatever. No. You guys do what you want to do. But that's the one part of that I think more people should talk about because people consume that shit real fast and then they want more and more and more. And I don't know, maybe it's because they're on a weekly schedule. Most of the world, France has the easiest schedule. Mm-hmm. Italy is pretty up there in terms of like what their turnaround time is. And America is easier than Japan, but still pretty strict. Folks, if you like comics and stuff like that, there are a bunch of great videos that tell you more about the making of them. But back to the Fortnite Vader stuff. Maybe that is who I'm talking about, Georgian. Oda from One Piece.
Oh yeah. That guy goes nuts. Similar when it comes to like films and television that's shot in South Korea, same stipulation. You're working basically 23 hours a day.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, I know a lot of people, there's a craze last year, a lot of people saying, oh, wow, they make the best shows ever. It's like, they make interesting shows and they're very well produced, but they are the working conditions for everyone, whether it's the cast or the crew, would kill a normal American. And you don't want to. And the thing is, a lot of actors in South Korea do burn out pretty fast where they're kind of just flashes in the pan. And is that like a sustainable career choice for them, especially when they're struggling very much so to actually break out of South Korea and work in America and the UK because their schedules are less demanding and the pay is also far superior.
Well, what's his face from Squid Game that moved over to Disney with Star Wars and stuff?
Right,
I'm sure he likes that schedule.
Oh, yeah, I think he got paid way more for Acolyte than he ever did for the several seasons of Squid Game he was on.
Hey, I did not like the Acolyte, but I'm glad they're taking care of the guy.
Me too.
He was the best part of that show, even though that's not really a compliment. Now this Darth Vader lawsuit, I have watched a couple of videos of people using this voice to make it say stuff. He was talking about Joe Hendry and things like that. And I hope one day there is a officially released. Hold on, since Andrew did the clap, I guess I really have to go all the way
you
through
said his name.
Well, you know what happens.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I clapped and I'm not on camera.
Love it.
That's how
Love
dedicated I am.
Thank you for doing. I know you did it just for me. Thank you.
Hey, world class after all. No, but I want to I wish there was an AI chatbot officially sanctioned that you could just make Darth Vader talk to you about shit. That would be, Darth Vader doing Steiner Math Clone Geek would be amazing. All sorts of these things would be so funny. Now, who do you think will be the next voice or the next character to get this treatment where they'll be basically around in perpetuity?
I think so. For me, it's really interesting because I like the idea of as long as the agency is being put on the individual first. So James Earl Jones is the one who sold his vocal likeness, right? When it came specifically to this character.
Yep.
What that does, at least as a fan, because that's always going to be the voice of Darth Vader. And now, at least for people, whether it was going to happen or not, that he was always going to be the voice of Darth Vader. However, if say, I don't know, 30 years down the line, Disney did, freaking screw me. Hopefully Disney doesn't have the property anymore at that point. But let's just say another Star Wars project comes out. It has Vader in it. Had Jones not done that, then the alternative is you have some sort of, I don't know, knockoff or an impersonation. Something doesn't land quite as well. Or God forbid they try to go with something that's completely different, and it's like, well, that's not Darth Vader's voice. I like the idea of his voice being cemented as the voice for a character that's as iconic as this. And it's a two-part thing, right? Because one was the physical performance, right? The imposing nature of the character's movements in general, but then the other facet of that was James Earl Jones' performance on the vocal side. So I like that. So to me, that says, okay, so if this ends up being something that is truly lucrative and beneficial for his estate, for his family and whatnot, his descendants, then I think your next step there is you'll see more actors who have incredibly iconic voices who, because it's not everyone. You can have a bunch of big name actors. It's not their voice that's necessarily the big thing about them, right? It's their looks or the way that they tend to portray characters on screen, whatever it is. But you have those actors who it's like you hear their voice, you immediately know who it is. And it's because their voice is the most iconic and recognizable thing about them in many respects. So I think you could make an argument for, say, I don't know, like a Morgan Freeman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Liam Neeson, and a number of other actors who have just that really iconic voice that if they played a character that became so ingrained in the cultural zeitgeist as something like a Darth Vader, that selling that specific performance and likeness to the benefit ultimately of their families and their descendants, I actually really like that idea a lot.
I have no. I know it sounds weird, but I just don't have a problem with it. It's like he's dead. He said it was cool. I I don't want to live in a world where it's like, hey, I'm going to the movie to watch a brand new Orson Welles film, or Sean Connery's back playing James Bond. Like, that's too weird to me.
Yeah.
But if they do like video games where you can control these digital characters, I'm really okay with it. Like if they decide to make like Goldfinger the video game for its 70th, well, God, it'd be 72 years now, right? Yeah, no, 71, 64. Yes, yeah, I can't.
No, because no, 64 it'd be 61 years.
61 years, yeah. It's been a long day. Like I was telling you
No
guys
worries.
off air, I was fighting with a copy strike with YouTube all day. It's like, Jesus. Anyway, it got resolved. Point is, like, if I could play a video game with that, I think that's awesome. But the movie part is a little too weird for me. Folks in the chat, tell me how you feel about that, or what actors you would like.
I would agree. I mean, heck, right now, Warner Brothers has not officially made the statement, but I do know people over there at the animation, video games, and studio stuff. They personally feel like Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman, but they're never going to violate that. As far as I know, like current ownership's not going to violate that. He's passed away. He left his legacy. There's definitely more than enough footage of him out there where you could create an AI bot to have Kevin Conroy doing Batman as a voice again.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not interested in that. And at the same time, Kevin Conroy didn't have he passed away before this type of conversation was ever in existence. But a fun fact is that many decades ago, well, like 2 decades ago, George Lucas actually had a cool little voice modifier for Darth Vader's voice where you could actually download it, and when you record something into it, it comes out as close to James Earl Jones as possible that you could use for fan films at the time. And the force.net used to have a link that would take you to the proper Star Wars main page where you could get all those assets and things for your fan films, which of course vanished the moment Disney purchased Lucasfilm. And Jeff's rendering is complete and has booted him out of the stream.
We lost him. Ladies and gentlemen, they got him.
They got him. YouTube got him. But yeah, like it's a brand new area of personal rights. And to a degree, there are some stipulations and protections in current SAG-AFTRA contracts, but that doesn't require SAG-AFTRA to get involved if you've already made a deal that covers everything you want it to cover for yourself and for your family estate.
By the way, I'm reading the chat. An AI Adam West would be an incredible like digital assistant. Good morning, old chum. It's time to start the day. I'm like, oh, cool. All right, Batman, let's go.
Tell
That's
me,
the
Adam
only way
West,
I'd want that.
what was it like on working on Lady Chatterley 2?
Well,
For
there
me,
was less
it'd have to be
sex on
like
the.
Jen Taylor as Cortana.
I'm trying to think like, okay, folks in the chat, if
Or
you
what?
could have,
Paul Bettany as Jarvis.
that would be pretty awesome. Like, I might pick him. Folks in the chat, who do you want as your celebrity AI voice assistant that will be your alarm tone, your text tone, tell you when you have a meeting, tell you when it's time to use the bathroom? Like, what voice in the morning would not bother you? Like, I think Macho Man Randy Savage would be the perfect AI voice. Just, ooh, yeah, wake up. I'm like, okay, Macho Man. Every day just yells at you to, like, get in shape and shit. That'd be pretty cool.
I can see it.
Mr. T.
Optimus Prime.
Or freaking Hollywood Rock. Or, like, but it's freaking 6 in the morning. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Oh, give me Marlon Brando as Jor-El. And then in the afternoon, Marlon Brando as Don Corleone.
And in the evening, was he Dr. Moreau?
Yeah, sure. Marlon Brando as Dr. Moreau. or General Kurtz from Apocalypse Now.
Oh, the horror. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
About that box set, I've literally never opened it. I mean, I've seen the movie a dozen times, but I have that like deluxe edition with every cut of the film. Maybe I need to just sit down and watch it. By the way, Sir Georgian, I don't know what Jenna Jameson's voice actually sounds like, so go with it.
Sure.
And Eddie Murphy AI, that'd be great, as well as Freddy Krueger.
Dude, Phil Hartman.
I have to do Chris Tucker, man. A Chris Tucker one would be hysterical.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, after a while, you might want to kill yourself listening to Ruby Rod all day long. But
do Phil Hartman as Troy McClure.
Yes. Dude, Phil Hartman.
Good morning. You might remember me from such other mornings as yesterday.
Or Tim Allen, specifically Tim the Toolman Taylor, with all of the like little vocal things that he does.
Or an AI bot of his next door neighbor Wilson to give you sound advice.
Oh,
I would love that.
Amazing. Oh, that's the greatest idea ever.
What would you do though? Like, I wish we could get the ball rolling on the Phil Hartman voice, because I think everybody would welcome that one. His voice was perfect for everything he did. He could be serious. He could be funny. The world is less entertaining without Phil Hartman. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but like, go back when Phil Hartman was around. He was in everything. He would show up in a movie every year. He was always on TV. He would just randomly show up in shit, and it was great.
And he also helps write a lot of the stuff that he would show up in too, because he was a story analyst and a consulting producer on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he worked on the Pee Wee Herman Show, SNL, News Radio, Small Soldiers,
The Simpsons,
Jingle All the Way, Simpsons, obviously, yeah. I mean, how many voices? I love I love his episodes of The Simpsons, especially the Planet of the Apes musical. That might be my favorite Simpsons moment.
Or he marries Selma, yeah.
Dr. Zayas. I need a Dr. Zayas button. So I'm loving all of this, folks. We'll probably have these AI voice assistants in the future. For 99 cents a month, you can rent Troy McClure's voice.
You know what? I believe it's possible.
Troy McClure would do it, actually. So
I know it would be in bad taste, but if they were to like do Kevin Conroy, if they like found the legalities to bring Kevin Conroy's Batman in the digital world back and like Mark Hamill's Joker, I wouldn't care. I would watch everything ever, because it's just like, oh, it's the right voices this time. Because all those directed Blu-ray videos and all of the movies that don't feature those two voice actors are usually lower on my priority list. But anytime they came
even
back,
if overall the movie is good, like there's something about not having Kevin Conroy as Batman that just doesn't feel right.
I agree. Though Diedrich Bader was a pretty good Batman voice.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Brave and the Bold was a fantastic Batman show.
And it might be the best looking Batman show in terms of like visual,
Visual art style. They're incorporating that Silver Age into animation, fluid animation, with a little bit of the Golden Age in there as well. Quite good. Another great Batman voice, Bruce Greenwood.
Oh yeah,
He
he's
did
in
it Under the Red Hood, and he did the Young Justice series.
Isn't that Christopher Pike, right, in the
Yep.
Star Trek reboot?
Yeah, he was also the president in one of the National Treasure films, and oddly enough, he's a Canadian, so he's a.
Hey, Batman can be a Canadian. I'm cool with that. The Waynes are just rich maple syrup conglomerate or magnates. Fucking.
There's a lot of money in maple syrup, man.
I know. I've spent a lot of money on maple syrup, man. An R. Lee Ermey would be a pretty good one too. Mm-hmm. So, in regards to this stuff, what do you think is going to be the future? Are we going to get? Is this more of a pie in the sky joke on a podcast, or is this going to be in 5 years something you actually get with your Disney Plus subscription?
Well, with the way that movies are kind of movies and television are kind of going in a very peculiar oversaturation method, a lot of actors are probably, and people who are in possession of some famous actors' estates are probably going to look at this as an option for additional revenue. So we might have it. Like, AI is always going to be a tool, but with everything I'm seeing in the progress of it, it's reminding me of like the cheap and easy to use and intuitive editing software combined with the phones with the digital cameras inside. Yeah, they're great tools, but when you take a look at the majority of how people use them, they'll never compete with legitimate like filmmakers. And I'm not saying this of people who just get into Hollywood. I'm talking about people who actually know how to craft and tell a story, whether they're independent, whether they're studio level. Like there's out of all of YouTube, there's really only a handful of people on YouTube that know how to make a feature film. But when you take a look at stuff that's being done on Instagram and on TikTok and on social media and how they can't even frame a shot, like you're going to tell me that all the tools in the world are not going to make them be competitive against someone that really knows what they're doing, what they want to do, and how to do it.
It's interesting that you bring that point up because we get a lot of people that like hype up certain things on the internet, and I always kind of roll my eyes. And this isn't like I'm an artiste, blah blah blah, but like that Star Wars, SC-77 or whatever. People are like, that's so great, put it in the movie. I'm like, this looks like absolute dog shit. Like, I think there's a difference between like online wish fulfillment and actual technical skill. And if it makes you happy, that's great. But I don't want that kind of stuff to be the future of entertainment, where it's just poorly made. Oh, what if? That's fine if that's what you want to watch, and that's fine if it lives on YouTube. But like if I go out to see, I don't know, a new James Bond movie, and it's just like, what if Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan met in France and fought Mayday? I'd be pissed and walk out of the theater. Like, I don't want to see that kind of dumb shit. What if James Bond had a son and it was... No, I don't want that crap.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want it either. And what's really sad is that some of those very cheap techniques that have been kind of experimented with on YouTube have made its way into the mainstream. For instance, the very abrupt superhero landing, where like either they land on both feet or they land on one knee, and it's this kind of jarring, shocking like drop at greater than gravity speeds, and then sometimes the ground will kind of separate a little bit underneath. But it's the same effect that people have been using on YouTube since like 2012. And now it's in Hollywood studio productions because it's quick and it saves time, especially. And then on top of that, they used it, I think, even in like superhero CW shows also. It's really tragic because you're literally scraping the bottom of a barrel of just trying to make your day, as opposed to, would it be fun to not have Superman always land with a thud every time, but maybe a graceful landing the way like Christopher Reeve would do it all the time, because he said, why would Superman ever want to damage property?
Exactly.
To a place.
That's what the video I was working on was about, Superman and the misunderstanding.
I'm kind of curious to check it out later.
Please do. I think you'll like it because it's not a usual WCBS video. And it has a lot of those clips of Christopher Reeve doing his landing, because he always did that like, it's like he kind of is like just walking downstairs, and he just lands, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Superman 3 has some of the best flight choreography ever because Christopher Reeve directed it. after doing Superman 1 and 2, he figured out exactly how to do it well and do it justice and make it work for the camera. And there's some stuff in that whole chemical fire scene that looks so fluid that you're like, wow, you really do believe he can fly in that.
He was just so great, dude. Like, I mean, you know, I'm a fan. So what we're getting closer and closer to the other Superman movie. What are we, like 2 months, almost just shy of 2 months? So it's going to be,
I think, yeah, 7 weeks.
I'm seeing all the toys come out, and I'm getting the bug. Like, I got to at least pick up one of those Superman figures, because it's like they put the trunks on them. It's a classic design. There we go. Thumbs up from me. The hot toy, I'd have to see it, and it'd have to be like a discount, because I'm not spending $300 on this dude. Christopher Reeve, I'll buy another one though.
I did see the one of the McFarlane ones recently where they give 3 of the same face sculpt in the toy package. I saw that on Twitter like a couple days ago. Someone was complaining, and I'm like, really? I remember seeing video footage of Todd McFarlane yelling at his sculptor because a hockey player's position wasn't correct back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, that was his passion. Superman's just a business for him. Like, I don't knock anyone's hustle, but if there is a corner to be cut, he's cut it. Like, Todd McFarlane lives in a roundhouse. All right, get money, you get crazy. Well, you're an art critic, don't judge him. But no, everything that can be cut has, and that's why I just don't buy those figures. It's like, hey, you get the exact same things all the time. But I'm looking at the Spin Master stuff. Hopefully, those are decent.
I'll tell you what, man. After that most recent trailer, I'm here for it.
Are you talking about the re-edited one or the actual one, the official?
The official one.
Yeah, I'm still down. I'm seeing a world of Superman that looks very familiar, but something I haven't seen on film before, and I really want to check it out.
This might be a really good summer of movies.
Yeah,
I think we're getting there. Because, for example, I went and saw the Final Destination Bloodlines, which would have been like, what, 6? That movie was breaking records. I think it had $100+ million opening weekend for that franchise. And it was fun. It was stupid. I laughed. It was bloody. It's everything I wanted in one of these movies. The other week I saw Fight or Flight. That movie kicked ass. Like really, it was awesome. It was like Bullet Train on a plane meets a little bit of John Wick, and it was funny. And
That's a heck of a combo.
And Katie Sackhoff was the kind of villain, kind of, agent handler. Josh Hartnett kicked ass. Like, I have watched more good movies than bad movies this year. I would still say, like, Captain America is the bottom of the barrel in terms of films I've watched this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of an impressive thing. Because normally it's, this one sucked and that one sucked. No, I've come to a point where I'd say 80% of what I've watched in theaters was enjoyable, and I'm happy about that. I hope Mission Impossible lives up to that, because
me too. I really
I'm worried. Let's see.
Yeah, I've heard some mixed things about it, but yeah, I mean, it's looking cool. Chris McQuarrie said something really brilliant about like fan service and how it's very poisonous when it's done at the expense of story. And I know there's already a movement out there that's trying to say that he hates the fans. But he's not saying that at all. He's saying, isn't it terrible if you go into a movie for the first time and you feel like you're lost because there's so much fan service, right? It's because it's bad. But he also says, but isn't it great if you go into a movie and you completely understand what's going on, seeing it for the first time, and then you find out from people that are fans that a lot of those things you liked was also fan service. That's different. and that's a really hard thing, because one is being dependent and creating homework for your film, and the other is actually giving you curiosity, giving you explanations, giving you a satisfied execution of that plot point or character point in story, and it's making you get excited for that franchise, that you want to go back and you want to get more out of it.
That's a good point. And I wanted to ask you guys, because I'm, pro fan, but I feel like that gets weaponized quickly now. It's like, oh, they said something that wasn't, to my liking. I want the best product, Like, I don't want asshole people attacking the fans, calling them bigots and all these other things. Because
we certainly don't need that.
But at the same time, it's just like, oh, okay, well, they're not giving you fan service. They're just giving you what they believe is the best quality or the best way to handle it. I think it's important for us as audience members to get what we want, but I also don't personally. I don't want to make the Superman movie. I want somebody to make it for me, and then I go watch it, and if I like it, cool. I don't want my version on screen because I don't have a version of Superman I want on screen. I don't have that for many characters. I just want to go in and be entertained and feel like the people that made it cared that they didn't waste my time. That's what's important to me.
Exactly. And I think, there are things where you could say, oh, that's a really good movie and it does fan service right. And I would say the most recent one we got of that would be Top Gun Maverick, because it's very much its own story. You can go in that cold and you understand everything that's going on in that. And every reference that comes in there is properly played out. So you're not feeling lost. But you watch that movie and you go back and you watch the original Top Gun, you're like, yeah, I completely understand everything now. I get a deeper understanding in Pete Mitchell's character, Maverick. And that poor kid of Rooster growing up without a dad and then, being blocked to get into the Navy as a pilot because his mom just had that fear going on. And it's all done through dialogue and action and clever playing. And then on top of that, it's literally the plot of the first Star Wars film. But I mean, it does it well. And then take a look at something like Ahsoka. That is nothing but fan service to the point where there's no story there. And it's a superficial interpretation of what people understand Star Wars to be, because it's not all about stoicism and staring off into the horizon, especially if you're a Jedi. Like, the whole idea that Yoda was complaining to Luke is that's what he did. He kept staring off into the horizon. No Jedi does that because their mind is focused on where they are and what they're doing at that moment. So why are we seeing Ahsoka, who is trained as a Jedi, may no longer call herself a Jedi, but, lots of people lie about their identities in this day and age. But why is she standing on the edge looking over at the water before she falls in and then should have drowned during that Force vision scene where we get to see Anakin Skywalker wearing armor, which always made me feel odd that why would a Jedi need armor? They have a lightsaber. That's the most defensive weapon ever.
To sell another action figure script. You know the rules, and so do I. Okay?
Yeah,
if George
the
Lucas can
whole
monetize it, you will.
The whole armor that they gave to the Jedi generals in, Clone Wars was just to have a design to sell for toys. And
an additional figure that you have to get if you're a Star Wars fan. Yep.
Pretty much.
I know all that.
I understand the marketing thing.
Yeah.
I'm the worst Star Wars fan. I only buy it if it's Han Solo.
This guy. I'm not going to get into it with you.
I'm being honest, man. It's like, oh, I could pick up all these amazing Jedi and this and that. Yeah, I'll just take Han Solo again. Like, that's why I have like 40 of them. Maybe more.
I believe
something
it.
I'm proud of.
I think I have every Revan figure but one.
All 6 of them?
Pretty much, yeah. But that's why it's easy to have every one of them, right? Except for the one that's like super delayed right now and was supposed to be, keeps getting pushed back. It was supposed to be like February, and then it became March, then it became April, then it became May. Now we're almost at the end of May.
There was a point in time where I wanted to collect like every version of a specific character, and then I went, that's really just impossible for some of these characters. Like every Luke Skywalker, you're talking dozens and dozens of these things, and they get pricey too if you want like double telescoping variants, brown hair variant, different country of origin stamp on the leg. It's like, whatever. So I think I have most Beetlejuices that exist. That's the character I can say I have most of his toys.
Okay. I have all Cal Kestis action figures thus
Even the
far.
one with the mullet?
That one's not out yet.
Oh, okay.
It was advertised, but I will have it.
I mean, there is very rarely a time when an action figure picture gets released and I laugh as hard as I did when I saw that. I was like, oh, wow, we are going with this. Star Wars has gone redneck.
Yep, I saw that and I was like, they didn't. They did, and I have to get it.
Well, they did it first with Ewan McGregor in Attack of the Clones. He had the Jedi mullet,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Jellet,
Oh, the
right?
Jellet, yeah.
Yep. It's true.
You know, the design of that movie, though it's my least favorite of the prequels, I think the character designs are pretty strong.
Mm.
Much stronger than Episode 1, where I like that movie more. But it just, there was something off about certain designs. I don't think the Jedi braid looked very cool on Ewan McGregor either, but
I think
that's just a
giving the
personal
Jedi a
preference.
uniform was a big mistake.
Agreed. I thought Luke was the coolest looking Jedi. I
Yeah.
still like that black. I still like the cloak. I that's what turned me off to it as a kid. It was like, hey, they're kind of like monks or priests or whatever, and I'm just like, lightsabers are awesome. I would love to have one, but it's also kind of like they're lame and they can't have relationships, and you live in a cave essentially when you're watching over. It's like I don't know. George Lucas made me not want to be a Jedi as a kid. That was an impressive feat, George. Thank you very much. And Disney made me not want to even watch Han Solo anymore. So that's an even more impressive feat. So thank you, Disney. Appreciate your all your love and support throughout the years. Yes, they all dress like they're from Tatooine.
Yes, I think that became as a byproduct of a lot of fans doing the cosplay for Obi-Wan and their own variations of Jedi, and they're like, well, Obi-Wan wore this. Yeah, but take a look at what Yoda wears. He doesn't wear Tatooine cloaks. He wears a tunic and pants, like just whatever fits his size. Luke wears whatever is issued by the Rebel Alliance. Um,
And that's all World War II style military design. Because
Yeah.
Star Wars is World War II in space to a degree.
yeah. Well, World War II in aesthetics, and then Vietnam in space.
Yeah. Good old Lucas, though. At least he knew it was up with
Yep.
a lot of this stuff. Created a winner. We still talk about it decades later. So, anything you guys want to say in regards to the topic we've covered, or let's move on to some other stuff?
I
we
think
can move on.
I think it's a frivolous lawsuit, and it will probably not go the way people want it to.
I just want to be able to continue to make Darth Vader say curse words all day long, like filth, flarn, flarn, filth.
Well,
That
you
would be-
could probably get him to do the Steiner thing if you download Fortnite and just talk to him for a few hours.
That's a big if there, script.
It is, but given how much of the stuff they've gotten him to say already, it looks like it's a possibility.
Well, wait, Fortnite's free to play? Oh.
Yeah, I think so.
I Googled it. Yeah, it's free to play at
it's free to play.
Fortnite.com.
Yep. It's entirely free to play.
It's still too expensive for me, guys.
The price is your pride.
That really is the answer that I would have given. Yeah, it's like,
I know.
wait a second, Jar Jar Binks with a lightsabers in this game?
They put Darth Jar Jar in the game. Probably my most hated fan theory.
I consider myself a man of the people, but I hate fan theories with a fucking passion. Like every fan theory I've read about James Bond makes me angry. Every fan theory about Back to the Future makes me want to. Honestly, that's why it's not my favorite movie anymore, because really shitty fan theories or just not understanding these movies. I'm like, how do people not understand it? It's on screen. Like all you have to do is look at the screen and it tells you what you're asking me. Like when
Yes.
you're watching your phone, do you not know? Like if English is not your native language, hey, I am not here to talk shit at all. If you have a learning disability, not going to talk shit. If you're younger and you're just trying to figure it out, again, I'm not going to talk shit. But if you're like a 23-year-old guy who's completely able-bodied and you're asking me, why does the DeLorean need to go 88 miles an hour? Because it's in the fucking script. Shut up and watch the goddamn movie.
Yeah,
Like,
and 88 when you flip it sideways is infinity and back.
people don't even think about stuff like that.
I didn't even think about stuff like that.
Nor have I, and I have a DeLorean in my closet. Not a real one, but you know.
I was going to
That'd
say,
be
you have a
cool if I
large
did.
closet.
I got way too much stuff in that closet, like a Batmobile, a DeLorean, another Batmobile. Shit, I have way too many Batmobiles. Anybody want to help me with my Batmobile addiction, like how to wean myself off of them?
I've got 5 right now.
Depends
that
on
are
which
like-
ones you have. Maybe I'll take one off your hands.
I got 5 that you can fit figures in, and about 3 or 4 that are like small, like metal die cast ones.
I believe I have at least 15 Michael Keaton Batmobiles. Like,
That's
from
a
a
lot.
McFarlane one, I have diecast ones, I have Hot Wheel one. No, if you think that's bad, I probably have like 40 Aston Martin DB5s. One day I'm just going to sell those toy cars and get like a down payment on a steering wheel for a real Aston Martin.
The steering wheel. That was a fun
Just
qualifier.
fix it to like the latest video game console so you can do a driving game.
That's funny.
That is my favorite car on the planet. Everyone's like, I want a Lamborghini, I want a Ferrari, I want this. Give me that old Aston Martin from Goldfinger and Thunderball. Technically from Thunderball, since the Goldfinger car is not really that car. It's a different model fixed up to look like that car. But that's semantics. But it's James
But
Bond
you would know the
semantics,
difference.
because it's my favorite thing. Dude, when it comes to comics, and I don't mean like just knowing the character stuff, but like making them and stuff like that, I know my bases are covered, and I put that care into all my stuff. Because why would you? This is for everybody in the chat. Please answer this. Why would somebody like get into something if they're not like really going to get into something? Like, it's not gatekeeping if you ask somebody a question or this or that. It's like, get involved, but learn it. Get involved with it because it's fun. Don't like get into it because it's a hot new thing or you want to be talking about it for 5 minutes. Like, if the MCU got you into comics and movies, awesome. You don't need to know all the Jack Kirby minutia, but like people should at least know the shit and not just consume blindly, because that leads to the people who make it. They cater to those people, and they just flood the market with garbage and crap. So, ooh, Darth Vader is in the chat. Welcome, Lord Vader. He says Thunderball is better than Goldfinger. Script? What do you have to say about that statement?
Whew. I don't know. That's a tough one because I like Thunderball.
Same.
But Goldfinger, I think, is the better made of the two. Because Thunderball has that underwater sequence, which is cool to watch, but it does feel a little off. Feels like they're kind of punching above their weight class there, if memory serves.
If anyone out there can understand this comparison, like, have you ever watched a movie that gets a sequel and they upgrade it in every way, but it's still not as good as what came before it? That's how I feel about Thunderball, where I like Thunderball. Mm-hmm. It would be in my upper half of all the Bond movies. And I don't really have a lot of negative things to say. It's got the best looking Bond women. It's got a great theme song. It's got great title sequence. It's got a good car chase. Like, it has all these great elements to it, especially the opening credit sequence when he punches the lady that's really a dude and then flies away in the jetpack. Like, I love Thunderball. But it's so aware that James Bond is now a hit, and it's metaphorically just like rubbing one out on the screen, and you're just like, oh, look at what we can do. And I hate to be that guy for my favorite franchise, but they weren't there technology-wise. Like, they use this back screen projection shit, and that movie looks horrible. All the old Bond movies, like, they're coming out in 4K right now, and I know that's going to be so noticeable, because I wish they would go in and like clean up the plates or use a little bit of computer fudging to make it look real. Like, that's what I'm okay if you take an older movie and offer an alternate version. Still give the original shitty effect one.
Well, they could
sounds.
Yeah, they can recomposite those effects because they're all done on separate layers of film. Now, I think From Russia in Love might be the only one that survives the 4K versions of it, because there's a lot of backplating in that you aren't aware of, because there's a lot. I mean, well, you're aware of it, Jeff, but a lot of other people aren't, because there was some reshooting of a bunch of scenes in there where they literally had to rear project the initial print, put the actor in the exact place where they were before, adjust the focal length to match everything, and then have her redo her scene.
I need to go back and even watch that again to make sure I know what you're talking about.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, because they did it a couple of times, but you can tell because the actor is perfectly still, but her face is doing all the acting, like some reactions and saying a couple of brand new lines. Because From Russia with Love was a nightmare production, but it was an incredibly impressive result from all the effort and the readjusting they had to do for it.
Tied for my favorite Bond movie, that and Goldeneye. I love those movies. From Russia with Love is the Cold War thriller, the most, I guess, realistic, you would argue, because they're going after a decoding device, and there's no space lasers or men with, like, the bad guy has a watch with a garrote wire in it, and he chokes James Bond. That's pretty lo-fi by today's standards, and it's awesome. So, folks, if you haven't watched it, watch that movie. And it's all about blackmailing James Bond with sex. Like, that's the premise of the movie.
I know, and I think what's brilliant about it is that it's like, really, you think that's gonna hurt me?
You don't know me at all.
Connery was the man. Bring him back for a video game. Put him in all this shit game-wise. I'd make some more toys. I'll buy some more James Bond figures. Who would stop me?
I know you would. I wouldn't stop you.
Mm.
You grown?
Yeah, I am. Quite grown, actually. Grown more than most people.
Yeah, you are. All 7.5 feet of you.
Yeah, well, it's like 9 foot 9 inches now. Sorry. I can't even get through a doorway anymore. I haven't made this announcement on the channel yet, but they've cast me to play the alien in the new Alien movie because I'm taller than that African guy from the first movie now. So that would be
the lanky guy. Yeah.
If I was that tall, I'd hate my life. Xavier to God, thank you very much for being a member and for your super chat this evening. He says Anakin and Obi-Wan wore armor, and some Jedi wore boots and gauntlets to show that they were with the clones and would die alongside them, not just boss them around. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, that is, I believe, explained in Clone Wars at some point.
Still kind of odd to see a giant sci-fi war basically fought with disposable soldiers, robots, and clones. It just feels like the stakes are completely deflated as a result of that.
I wish the Clone Wars was just a passing line of dialogue and never expounded upon, because it's so much cooler when you're like, "What's the Clone Wars?" and then you're like, "Oh, okay,
it's a war with clones."
See, I figured the Clone War would be more like an invasion of the body snatcher types, where people are being replaced by clones, and the clones are screwing up the entire institutions of that allow the galaxy to be stable, and it's all being manipulated by Palpatine.
The Clone Wars are honestly the least interesting war in all of galactic history in Star Wars lore, in my opinion.
Which is tragic, because it should have been one of the most interesting, because it led to the Empire taking over the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
But even after all these years, Revenge of the Sith still pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
Clone Geek, I'd say that Thunderball had a better song than Goldfinger. Well, no.
So Thunderball technically has 2 songs to it, but only the Tom Jones one was, like, I think the official.
Yeah, Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is the other one.
Which is a great song, so...
Okay, script trivia time. What other James Bond movie has 2 official songs?
Oh.
Let's see if the chat can figure this one out. We're going to give you time, folks. Come on now.
It's an official... I know it's not the unofficial Bond.
It's a very official movie.
It's a very official movie. Oh, I want to say Golden Gun, but I don't think so.
There are multiple versions of that song, like Alice Cooper did one, but there is another James Bond movie much later that has 2 different theme songs to the point where the
Live and Let Die?
No, keep going into the future.
Oh gosh, because it's funny because I used to actually make Bond some albums for my dad, and I knew what this was, but okay, so it's not. So it's further ahead than Live and Let Die.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking Daniel Craig era?
Go back.
No, it might be Pierce Brosnan era.
World is Not Enough?
No, I think Die Another Day, maybe.
All right, you go back one more movie.
Okay, so
the world.
So Tomorrow Never Dies.
AJ Journeyman got it right. It's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, right.
Because if you watch the movie, the original song's called Surrender. It's the end credits, but the entire score uses that music as its theme song. But at the last minute, they changed it to the Sheryl Crow theme because they wanted something more poppy and hot. So Sheryl Crow was poppy and hot in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go.
Quantum of Solace technically also has 2, but we never got to hear the original one because that we just got the Jack White one, right? So.
Well, the Shirley Bassey one has been released.
Oh, I haven't heard that. I should check that out.
It's better than the Quantum of Solace Jack White Alicia Keys song. That song's like the definition of okay to me.
It's a boilerplate Bond song. That's the thing, right? It doesn't stand out, but it does incorporate the things that you identify as James Bond in it.
Yeah, and it's got a pretty decent guitar riff. I mean, it's Jack White. I expect the guitar to be solid from that guy. But yeah, folks, if you want any more James Bond trivia, ask me on a stream. I'm sure I can pull random factoids out of my ass anytime you need. It's like
I believe it.
When you've watched those movies as much, I think I've watched making ofs more than I've watched some of those movies, and I've read the books like on those movies. Like I just bought a new one called "In Man with the Golden Eye." It's about Peter Lamont, the guy who did the design work for all the Bond movies. It's written by him, so it's gonna be that's my next read. Maybe I'll review it for the channel, or maybe I'll just talk about it on the live stream. We get some more Bond people in here. I want to stream with some Bond channels, folks. Let me know if there are other YouTubers that talk a lot about Bond. I think we could have a fun, rousing discussion on our old hero 007, as we're about to enter a new phase of the character. And then one day he'll be in the public domain, and I will have my publication ready.
Oh yeah, well, one day he'll be public domain in America. He's public domain in a number of countries throughout the world right now, including my own.
Well, when he is public domain in America, I'm going to make my book, and then I'm going to find a way to sell it in all those countries where James Bond is public domain.
Yeah.
Be my passion project. So, let's, yes, congratulations to AJ Journeyman. You win Listener of the Week, Listener of the Day, whatever. You just win, my friend. You knew the answer, so thank you. Now, up next, I wanted to talk about something because Script, I sent you the clip. Andrew, you sent this to me earlier. Now, folks, we're going to show you a clip, but we're going to have a discussion that's completely different because entertainment is always evolving. And over the last few years, since even I've returned back from California, entertainment has changed so much, where people don't want to go out, they want to stay at home, they want all these different things, and we're finding ways to even cater the personal experience to the point where in the future you'll be able to pick your own endings to movies. Like, for example, if you love The Big Lebowski like I do, and the one criticism you have is you don't like that Donnie dies, you might be able to, with the power of AI, make Donnie survive, or you may be able to do all these different things. But changes are coming for personal reasons, and I am not a stickler for the old ways. I just don't like that we're losing why I like to talk about entertainment so much. The fact that it is a shared experience for all who watch it. So let me pull this clip up for you guys. It's going to be, now, trigger warning, it's going to be a face that some of you don't like because of what he did to your childhood property, but I care, don't get me wrong, I care about what happens to our favorite properties, but this guy's done more good than bad for me. So, the name is Kevin Smith, and this clip that we're about to share with you right now makes some valid points.
Michael Rosenbaum's podcast.
Yeah,
Isn't
from
he
almost
the Flash?
He was voice of the Flash and Lex Luthor, and this is from an episode that premiered 11 months ago.
So, Silent Bob isn't so silent anymore. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Because film exhibition's in the toilet. Because
But I like the
theatrical window
theater.
is
I like
small.
to go
Sure,
around.
but you know what? Looking around here, are you the type of individual that also likes vinyl? Maybe
I
not.
have vinyl.
Some people are like, hey man, vinyl, I swear by it and shit. Cinema is going to become vinyl, which is like, it's never going away. But you keep looking at what's happening to multiplexes around the country. They're closing their 300-seat venues, their 200-seat venues, and they're putting in those couch chairs with the feet that go up and stuff like that. So suddenly
They'll
you go
deliver
from
your food to you.
they'll bring food right to you, but you're going from like the mass experience of like 250, 300 people in a theater to like 50 will sell this theater out because the ticket price has gone up, and hopefully we're going to sell you food and booze as well. That model seems completely fucking untenable. And, I think that's why AMC, big companies like that, they're sweating and they're going like this up and down. The business still hasn't completely righted itself post-pandemic. Yes, Barbenheimer was great for things and whatnot, but there's not a Barbenheimer every week.
No.
And I don't think some of those cats are ever coming back for the theatrical experience. Or maybe they'll come back once in a blue moon for something big. I think it's going to probably start being like Broadway. Broadway used to be everything, right? And then now it's like $150, $200 a ticket for the rarefied few who love it. But that's not mass consumption at this point.
So, let's talk about this because we're going into one of the bigger franchises of the modern age. And we're going into what we've talked about earlier in the show, how movies are starting to pick back up in terms of quality, for at least us. Because there are some people that aren't going to be satisfied with anything. But then there are a lot of people that are starting to go out again, and hopefully it's going to pick up across the
We
board.
went to see Thunderbolts and had a grand old time.
Dude, I saw it twice in theaters. That
You've
is
seen it?
very
Oh,
rare.
I haven't had the chance to go back yet. I've been so busy since coming back home from visiting my folks. I still want to go see it again.
The only reason I saw it twice is because my buddy and I went to see Sinners, and he's like, I haven't seen Thunderbolts. And I went, that is solid enough that I'll go watch it again. And I had AMC points.
Nice.
So,
Good enough reason. Good enough reason.
I didn't technically pay for it. So, Andrew, you sent me this. What made you send this to me?
Because what's really funny, actually, is because when I saw this, I was like, wow, he's actually kind of got a point, because we do continue to see this disparity and decline in the performance of a lot of films. We're past, let me put it this way, the bubble has kind of bursted from when, and it's actually kind of good that it was, because, and I'm sure Script could back me up on this, Disney was just kind of dominating the entire, and flooding the entire market with the superhero stuff, with the MCU stuff. And for a little while, none of us really had as much of at least a vocal issue with that, because the movies that they were putting out were fun, right? They were still putting out phase 1 through 3, with a few exceptions, was still a lot of fun, and therefore all the movies did very well. However, I think that aided in putting moviegoer mindsets in a certain spot where they decided that unless it was something that was spectacle, it wasn't necessarily worth seeing, because at the same time you have this growing rise with streaming services, and a lot of films coming onto streaming services rather quickly, at least quickly enough to where people are like, I can wait a few months. That's fine. I'll just watch it from my couch, right? I'll make popcorn at home. The popcorn at your home isn't as good, but
Agreed.
whatever. You'll save however much money, right? As long as you're getting use out of that streaming service. So all that is to say, we've been seeing this drastic decline in theater attendance with, as he points out, and I am not a Kevin Smith fan. I don't really like, he's put out a couple of okay mainstream comics that he's been a part of. I've never watched any of his movies, so I can't claim to
Wait,
or
you've
not
never
like
seen
them.
Clerks?
No, I've never seen Clerks, haven't seen Mallrats, yada yada. It's whatever.
Mallrats is you. Like, you are one of the characters in Mallrats, literally, and that's not a pejorative. Like,
Yeah,
you're either
probably.
Banky or what's it? TS. That's his name.
Or Steve Dave.
He's more like Walt Flanagan.
I guess
Maybe.
I'll take your word for it. But with rare exceptions, we're seeing people not going to the theaters, right? And so it is possible that now, with where the economy plays into this, with where the economy is going, we might just start to see tickets skyrocket even more than they already have. When I went to see Thunderbolts with my dad in IMAX, just whatever it was, a week and a half or 2 weeks ago now, I don't know when I am. It was like $25 a ticket at the theater that was near them. And I was like, wow, it feels like a lot. I feel like I pay like still south of 20 at my local theater.
But 14 here.
Yeah, I think I pay like 18 for at my AMC for IMAX, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I think there is something to what he's saying, in that we're going in a direction to where people aren't going to theaters for most movies that are released, and that means that there needs to be some sort of there has to be a market correction there on the studio side when it comes to budgeting your film and putting yourself in a position to where you can succeed. I've said this before, where if you are budgeting for your film, you need to be budgeting for what your actual expected audience is in a realistic manner. Not like, hey, we're going to make this rom-com and it's going to do, $1.5 billion like an Avengers film. No, it's not. Right. But you'll see some studios spend ridiculous amounts of money on movies that don't have the audience for it. There's not the interest there to justify it. And so, as much as I genuinely enjoy the theater going experience, and I would like to see a correction And I think we are seeing that correction in terms of quality in a lot of movies. Yes, Disney is still an exception here and there, but we're seeing good movies still come out now, right? We're seeing fun movies come out, but the issue is, like, are those still successful movies? Like, I thought Thunderbolts was good. I thought it was a ton of fun. I loved it. Is it going to be super successful? No. People aren't going to see it. Not nearly enough. And so, as much as I hate to be a guy that agrees with Kevin Smith on something, I'm intellectually honest enough to where, you know, if I think you're right, I think you're right, whether I like you or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, everyone's entitled to their opinion on how you feel about somebody. So I'm not here to correct anyone. But Kevin Smith has made it in Hollywood, and he made it by himself. It's not a situation where he knew somebody or, you know, slept with somebody. I mean, look at him. That ain't happening for that guy. But he made a movie on a credit card by himself in a convenience store that he worked at, and just tapped into the cultural zeitgeist and continued to build upon that for quite a while. I'd say personally he fell off around Jersey Girl, then picked it back up for Clerks 2, fell off again with Yoga Hosers and fucking Tusk. Like, those are shit movies. I love this dude's movies, and I would say to his face, like, yo, Yoga Hosers, Tusk, what are you thinking about, bro? Don't ever make Moose Jaws. I never want to see that. But the classic stuff, there's a reason Jay and Silent Bob are a part of culture. Like, they really tapped in at the right time, and they're still funny. They're a remnant of an older time, but because Kevin Smith has made it in Hollywood and, you know, made films his own way and made it that way, I do listen to what he's got to say about films. Now, when he's shilling for Warner Brothers or the CW or any of those things, I roll my eyes and stop listening.
Yeah.
But I hope we never get to a point where it is $200 or $100 for a movie ticket. Like, $100 for a video game is ridiculous. There has never been a game where I went, that was worth $100. Like Grand Theft Auto. Oh, it's going to be that much. For what? Another outdoor world where I can kill people and I can't really go in buildings, and then after like 6 months the map is boring because there hasn't been a single Grand Theft Auto game where the map is good forever? Like,
The only time I spend that kind of money is if it's for like an impressive collector's edition, right? Where I'm getting a ton of extra crap. But a base $100?
no. Like, if 2K wrestling games went to a base $100, I'm done. The only reason I picked up the collector's edition and will support DLC for one type of game isn't because I'm a diehard wrestling fan. It's because DLC in a wrestling game is new wrestlers, new arenas, shit I actually care about. I don't care about skins or powering up my characters or bonus points or dumb shit like that. I don't want virtual Nikes. But if I can get like 1998 DDP or Goldberg or some of these guys, that to me is worth the couple bucks. But if your base shit is going to cost so much, I'm not there for it. In movies, I hate that Hollywood equates... Now, I could be wrong about this script. Correct me. Like, it feels like they equate a longer runtime with a better experience. And I am actively dreading Mission Impossible 8 because of... I don't want to spend 2 hours and 49 minutes watching a Mission Impossible movie. Like, no movie needs to be 3 hours. And I don't have ADD issues or anything like that. It's just, give me a nice, tight story and go. I don't want to spend time gazing into the vista or watching Tom Cruise do a loop-de-loop on the side of an airplane. Like, get the story done. You know, bringing back Kitteridge and all these vintage Mission Impossible characters doesn't mean you need to make a movie that takes a week to watch.
No, I would agree. I think exercising a little bit of discipline in your storytelling and what is important versus what isn't is relevant. I mean, that's why I miss productions shooting on film, because you had limited amount of film reels you could shoot on. So you made sure that everything you shot was the best it could be, the most important it was for the product. And run times are far more reasonable with very, very few exceptions. The other part too is that you need to be a master filmmaker if you can justify 3 hours. Like Peter Jackson doing his Lord of the Rings stuff, he worked like 15 years figuring out exactly how to do pacing as best as possible because he knew he wanted to do that trilogy. Or initially he wanted to do it as 2 films until Bob Shea said you could do it as 3.
I don't know why you would do it as 2. It's 3 books.
Exactly. But like he Peter Jackson at
I
the
wish
time
he
thought-
had that same downsizing mentality with The Hobbit.
well, he had to come into The Hobbit after the fact. But no, the reason he went for 2 is that he didn't think he'd ever get enough money for 3. So that's how he was reconciling it. But fortunately, Bob Shea does what all the big studios do, which is they don't spend their own money on that. They do an international pre-sale and also to a degree a domestic pre-sale where the theaters are paying for the movie before it's made. And part of the reason why they get a percentage of the ticket sales is to, of course, pay off that loan that they've given the studios. And then the bonus part is that once that's paid off, they maintain that 40 to 50% return on ticket sales after the fact. So that's how they're able to justify why they get, they invest so much money. The studios themselves, by the time if they do their due diligence on the accounting side of things, by the time a movie hits theaters, they're not in any debt at all. So now it's just a game of like, all right, well, what's the percentage profit gain? So they know the first couple of weeks, it's to try and pay off what was given to them on the pre-sale side for the theaters as part of the deal. And then once that's paid off, it's like, okay, great. Now that we're into profit territory. And for Disney, they've been eking by very slimly with profit-making territory. But they haven't lost anything. Like it's just a weird accounting math. To Kevin Smith's point, I think one of the things that made me laugh at what he said, and I only see this usually in UK and in the United States, are theaters that are like 300 seats or 200 seats. Like in Canada, I have never been to a theater that didn't have a minimum of 750 seats in it. Like we have big auditorium theaters here.
750.
Yeah. Like even the IMAX screen that's in downtown Toronto, I think is a 500 seater.
I'm curious
it's the top story of
AMC's
a 4-story building.
What's my AMC's IMAX theater size? I never actually looked.
And then we also have like a AMC multiplex at Yonge and Dundas Square in Toronto. I think those ones are like around on average 500 minimum seaters. Like they're not small. And there's a benefit to that because you have a larger audience per theater. So one screen, you're able to sell a ton of more tickets domestically in that. The issue, though, is that in the early 2000s, theaters actually started raising their ticket prices before studios started raising their budgets. And that's when I think part of this started. Because they said, oh, the theaters are raising their ticket prices because the movies that we're making are bringing in a huge crowd. So they're actually retaining more profit in our deal after the fact. Well, let's start spending a little bit more money so that we can secure that long show time, that demand of people coming to see the movies. And we can also increase what we collect up front from the theaters for pre-sales and also from other markets on pre-sales as well. And what ended up happening is their focus became less on the quality of the film and more on how much money they could get up front to make it. And then on top of that, you're wondering, well, where's all this money going for? Like everybody's taking a piece of it in some area. Even when you go to countries that have massively beneficial tax credits, you're not always seeing every dollar of that on the screen. So it's clearly going somewhere else. Various other departments, a lot of redundancies and whatnot. And of course, Godzilla -1 really exposed how much waste is in a traditional studio film, because all their special effects teams, everything that they did was a fraction of the size of what you get on a normal big blockbuster tentpole production. And he's basically uttering some of the things that I've been dreading and talking about for years, a couple times on this channel and also on some other channels. And that is, if this keeps going in the direction it's going, movie theaters and the theater experience will become a boutique experience.
Yeah, and the second you are able to classify something as that, all of a sudden cost goes way up.
Cost goes way up. Shows are longer lasting, but they're fewer and far between. They're fewer variety because theaters are going to be shutting down. And so you're not going to have multiplex screens anymore. If anything, your average AMC, which had 4 theaters in it, they might do a renovation and make it either 2 big theaters or 1 massive theater. That one big ass screen with a lot of seats in there, so that they know that every showing they're getting, they're packing the house as tightly as possible for that. So they're getting all that money in that one screening. And also the other part too is they'll probably start demanding more rational run times between 90 minutes and 2 hours so they can pack the most screenings in a theater, because theaters really don't like anything that's over 2 hours because that eats away at your repeat screenings. So when you take a look at a movie that's 3 hours long, like for instance, Sinners, like I think if Sinners was able to find a way to cut an hour out of that,
3 hours.
yeah, if they were able to cut an hour out of that film, I think it would have another 33% increase in its revenue.
I heard that movie was really good, but 3 hours, like,
Yeah, it
I
felt
was
like
still
3
gonna try
hours.
and go see it in theaters, but that's not a movie that I want to be out of my home for 3 hours for. At least
Hey, Script,
I don't think.
answer. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Answer me this: were the vampires sent by the KKK? Was that the plot?
No.
Okay, then then that ending was so stupid.
Oh, when the KKK comes in, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I
They
was
weren't
talking
even
to my
wearing the
friend about-
robes. Like, they were completely uncommitted.
It just that was your concern.
Well, I mean, come on. When you
Amazing.
read the stories of what the Klan did, they dress up in the robes, number one, so that they couldn't be identified in the event of a survivor. Number two, they would always operate at night. And then, one of the calling cards was burning the cross right in front of them, front of the house, before they would go inside and, do horrible things if they decided to go that far. Sometimes they just stop at the cross just to intimidate and scare or what have you. And then other times they would really, really cross the line. But here it's just a bunch of yokels walking out in the middle of daylight, first thing in the morning, and wanting to, kill the patrons inside and kill the owners of the building that they sold it to. All of some sort of elaborate, thing where it's like, yeah, we got these black guys' money and now we're going to evict them out of the building and I'm just going to retake it and kill them for it. And nobody knows that the transaction ever happened. It's like, okay, a little convoluted. Good enough story to do your own kind of 90-minute film, but it felt like Coogler was a little afraid of going all the way with that, considering some of the other stuff he did, which I thought he did really well. And I think Coogler is a good director and he's got a lot of potential, but I think his passion for this film compromised his discipline, because there's so much really good stuff in there. And I understand how difficult it would be to cut some of that. But if he could have found a way to do it, I think the movie would be better as a result. And then he could have used the stuff he cut to work in another film as a follow-up for it, which I know Warner Brothers is desperate for him to get to work on right now.
I would be impressed if
money.
he could make something without Michael B. Jordan. That would be impressive to me.
That too would be impressive. But they're a powerhouse. It's kind of like Dick Donner and Mel Gibson. They did a bunch of movies together.
Yeah, but look, Ryan Coogler has never made anything on the level of Lethal Weapon.
No.
Just gonna put
yet.
that out there. Anybody that's like, oh yeah, Black Panther. No, Black Panther is not as great as people build it up to be. Especially the second one. Ooh.
No, the second one is absolutely atrocious. The first one has
movie
a lot of good stuff, but its ending special effects fight really
is awful.
Yeah,
The movie itself is fine. It's got some great costuming. It's got some cool design in there. But yeah, the CGI is super inconsistent. The movie's carried because Chadwick Boseman was a fantastic performer. Credit to Michael B. Jordan as well. He did a good job as Killmonger. But the movie is not amazing. It's fine. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like, this is one of my favorite MCU films ever. No, I like the original Blade better. Sorry.
It's a better movie.
By leagues. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever?
Forever on store shelves at your local Ollie's, folks.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Coogler film that doesn't have Killmonger in it, right? So no Michael B. Jordan there.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Well, that's good.
We got Shuri instead and Ironheart, which
Which
you guys want to? I see 7
saw
people
that
watch
trailer.
that show.
Isn't Riri
Really?
Williams supposed to be a teenager? She looks like she's being played by a 45-year-old woman.
Well, they say black don't crack, but I guess in this case they'll make an
It's
exception.
smooth, but it
For
definitely
that
looks
one.
aged.
It's like fine leather,
What I found ridiculous about Riri's presence in Wakanda Forever is, look, you already have Shuri, who is a tech master, right? You don't need to bring in some other brilliant Black Girl Magic Tech Master. There's no reason to have her in there than to have this stupid thing that modern Marvel and to a lesser extent DC has been doing, where all of the characters that are of the same ethnicity just somehow always hang out or all together in the same place. And it's stupid. It's like, you don't have to have like, look, we're already dealing with Wakanda. It's fine. We have plenty of cool black characters over here that people like. Why are we bringing in one that nobody likes just to say they're all black so they all hang out? Like, I'm
Not only
sorry,
that,
it doesn't work that way.
she's a redundant character because Shuri is already an engineer and inventor. Why do you need another engineer and inventor?
It's less likable. Look, Shuri was no replacement for Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa, but like, her character is still at least like, she can be kind of funny. I don't love her, but she had some funny moments. It was definitely MCU funny. So take that or leave it as you will. But like, Riri offered literally nothing. She gave no reason for her presence being there.
Well, I don't like Ironheart because it's a derivative character. You know, it's funny how if you want to bring,
she's not even the first black female character that was supposed to be some sort of a successor to Iron Man.
Well, I mean, that was technically James Rhodes because he wore the Iron Man armor for a number of years in the 80s.
Well, it was, yeah.
Rhodey was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's before he became War Machine.
Mm-hmm. That's the part that these, and I hate to say it this way, but these assholes on like Twitter and stuff like to pull out the card. It's like, look, no comic book fan cares about the color of these characters. Like, if they make a new character and it's just a black dude or a brown dude or this and that, okay, cool, people buy in. But when you make derivative versions of characters, nobody wants them. Like, if you made another Spider-Man, it was just a white guy, I wouldn't want him. Like, I don't want another Spider-Man. I don't want another 007. Or
if it's not Peter Parker, I don't want him.
Hell, I don't know how much I want Peter Parker these days. I just buy the books to have the collection. I haven't read any of the new Spider-Man.
Don't read Amazing Spider-Man. Don't do that. The art is beautiful, but don't read it. Don't read the words. Don't look at the words.
Is that with the Mary Jane Venom thing going on or something?
No, that's in All New Venom, and that's actually done extremely and extraordinarily well. That book is actually a better Spider-Man book than the Spider-Man book.
But I won't read it because I don't like Mary Jane Venom, just in theory.
That's fine.
Like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, one would ask, like, well, what do you want? What do you want to buy? Well, it's not taken. I would like you to just follow the world, how it runs. It's like, well, Mary Jane isn't really a superhero. She's just Spider-Man's girlfriend. Let's not try to make her more than that. She's his wife, okay? She's there for him. I don't really want her to be a superhero because she's not that interesting. Like, what's most interesting about her is
I don't need her to be a superhero. That's no, sure.
And I don't need her fucking around with other dudes or Tony Stark or all this shit. Like, just keep the characters standard in certain ways. Like, that'd be like if in Dragon Ball Z there's an issue or an episode where Chi-Chi is like thinking about leaving Goku, or she actually does, and you're just like, why? What is this? Like, I don't even watch this show for that character. Why are we making like all this crap about this character and making it suck? That's how I feel most modern Marvel books are. It's like, oh, I bought a book about the Punisher, but I'm getting a talking to about immigration, or oh, I bought the Flash.
Definitely didn't ask for that.
No, never am. Never gonna ask about it. Like, you know, modern comic book writers are the worst they've ever been. Like, I would rather read the shittiest movie adaptation or the crappiest original idea than I would rather read the biggest name in today's market, because you're just going to get a talking to. And I don't want a talking to in my entertainment because, frankly, the people that give you the talking to aren't that smart and aren't worth a damn. Give me a person out there that gives you a talking to that's actually brilliant. It's not Gail Simone. It's not any of these other comic book writers. It's not any of these dudes that are out there going to, oh, we got to, put these guys in their place. No.
The irony is Gail Simone has one of the only good books in Marvel right now.
X-Men?
Uncanny X-Men is actually a genuinely great book, and the best that book has been than any X book has been since early 2000s.
Oh, I wonder who's helping her.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's being helped or if she just decided to shut her trap and write a good comic.
Well, the writing's on the wall for a lot of these people. playtime's over. You can't just fuck around in your little circle and be like, oh, we're gonna praise each other's work. Like, no, you need to have results.
Yeah. Exceptional is a exceptionally trash X-Men book. The main X-Men book right now by G.M.P.C is the most mid thing you've ever read in your life. It's just like, think of almost any point in the X-Men's history that has happened more than once, and he's doing all of that.
Jean Grey died again?
Just no. Jean Grey's alive. She's actually off world right now doing a Phoenix thing.
That part again. All right.
Yeah, that's been done again. Yeah, but it's actually being done fairly well. But it's a monthly, and so it's not a twice monthly, and so it's not oversaturating the market. But like almost all of the X books, like X Factor is boring and dumb. X Force was terrible. Exceptional is the worst one. Exceptional is just awful. Which makes me sad because the main focus character was billed to be Emma Frost, and she has virtually no presence in it whatsoever, which makes me super sad because that's my ex-wife. But then G.M.P.C.
I didn't know you were married.
What?
I know what you're saying.
Explain the joke to you, Jeff.
The joke is understood. I just wanted to kill your cadence and see if I could throw you off. I win.
Son of a bitch. Yeah. The main X book is just boring. It's so boring. Uncanny is just genuinely good. And the reason for it is because the characters actually sound like the characters. Remy and Rogue sound more like they've ever sounded like themselves, like the classic sound that I expect from them from like 90s and like late 80s era X-Men that I've ever heard them sound, ever, since that era.
Speaking of comic books, I read the worst comic book I've ever read today.
Oh?
It was called Crossed by Garth Ennis. You've heard of it.
Yeah.
Like, it is the definition of a piece of shit. For anyone out there that's like, I can't read woke Marvel or I can't read this and that, don't read a book called Crossed. I read it because I saw it on a list of the most violent comics, and I'm like, all right, let's see what this is about. It was absolute trash.
Garth Ennis had some problems.
Yeah. He is not my favorite creator.
No, he's one of my least. I think he's the type of person who was horribly bullied growing up, and he wrote every single revenge plot he had that he could come up with down, knowing he could never do it, and then just draws from that to put into his comic books.
Yeah, his books aren't. They're just not that. They're not my style. Let's put it like that. But Crossed is absolutely horrific. Like, I don't even care about it's just shock value for shock value. It's like zombies sodomizing people and they're screaming. I was like, what is this?
No, I'm good actually.
Okay, Sly knew what it is. All right, there we go. Oh, there's a Crossed movie coming out? Ew.
Are we sure it wasn't written by Zack Snyder?
No, but you could definitely see Snyder thinking it's more cerebral than it actually is, and then wanting to direct it. And fortunately for us, his Rebel Moon series is completely axed from Netflix. So
it was a good day.
Yeah, that was a good day.
I saw that and I was like, good. We need less Zack Snyder.
We're there. Well, that's the thing. We're there. Like, a lot of the stuff that we've wanted and fought for online over the last couple of years, it's like, all right, well, Zack Snyder's kind of out. Like, J.J. Abrams, he's a nobody. Like, where is he at? I don't even want to know. Like, just stay away from my TV screen or my movie theater screen, and we're good. Oh, just stop telling me about this damn Crossed movie. Like, I learned about the book today for the first time, and now there's a goddamn movie in production, and there's a director. I think I'm just going to shit on this movie before I even see the trailer.
I would not be surprised if Amazon has a stake in it. Because, again, they have a stake in The Boys. However, I think Inez is not really fully involved in that version. It's the other co-creator whose name has escaped me at the moment.
Derek Robertson?
Yes, Derek Robertson. That's the guy.
He's a good artist.
He's pretty good. Yeah, also, like, the stuff I've heard about what's going to come up in the next season of The Boys, gross wise. Yeah,
I haven't watched any of it.
It started out awesome for me. I was really into that show when it was new, and then this past season, nothing really like offends me, but it's it was like shock value for shock value.
It really was, and it's straying so far from what that series was doing that I mean, I understand why they're doing it that way because they just don't want the audience to be too far ahead of the story. But man, the stuff that was in that book and the revelations afterwards were really satisfying. And yeah, they completely went in a very new direction. I also am not a fan of the school for superheroes, the V University or whatever the heck it's called.
So that's supposed to be a knockoff of Xavier's School for the Gifted.
Kind of, but it's like owned and operated by Vought.
I don't know what that is. I've never read or watched.
That's made superheroes, and then
okay. Yeah. I've never read or watched The Boys, so I have no frame of reference.
They parody Disney a lot, and they parody Warner Brothers' Zack Snyder universe. Like, they make a movie called The Seven, and they basically use the imagery from the Justice League film, and it's very on the nose, aware of how shitty some of these modern superhero movies are. And when it's doing that stuff, I love it.
When they had A-Train, who's the black superhero in that thing, talk about his movie being reshot 7 times, that means it's got to be good,
that's
right?
A Flash knockoff right there, because I know that much. He's like a speedster, right?
He's a speedster, but it's got a double entendre because he's making fun of the Flash movie and all the Disney Captain America, Winter Soldier, all those types of Disney films that have the massive reshots all in one go. And they even make fun of Disney. I have friends that are big
fans of The Boys, but I can't get into it because just the premise to me, I'm like, oh, so it's edgelord superhero verse. Not interested. I'm good.
Sometimes it's edgelord. Other parts it's quite clever. Like there's even one lady who's like she's trying to get a job at Disney because it's slightly less evil than working for Vought.
Oh yeah,
like, that's one of the jokes they make.
All right.
No, they're quite self-aware with regards to like the internal politics of Hollywood, and they make fun of it, and that's usually where it's hit the sweet spot. But when there's certain allegories that become presented, and then you have the trades really embellish the fact that it is a direct thing of this, it kind of ruins the immersive aspect of it for you. And then you have some of the writers that say yes, it's that, and other writers say kind of inspired, but we wanted to do our own thing, so. And then you're like, well, now you're blurring the lines of what it is, and everybody can run away with it in their own narrative. And while I do like open to interpretation stuff, there's a lot of subtlety in there that is not so subtle, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, this past season was more on the nose political stuff than it was, I don't know, creativity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole angle about basically trying to kill the president-elect so that they could put their own puppet in power. And some people...
Yeah, but that's like... Okay, so hold on.
Well, the joke is that some people think that's what Trump was doing, but it's like, no, they're making fun of the Biden and Kamala thing.
I mean, well, whether or not they're making fun of Biden and Kamala is actually kind of irrelevant because that's a fairly common political plot point.
Yes.
That's not... I hate... Whether it's left or right, I hate when people conflate actually. This just tells me people don't read or consume entertainment and media, and therefore they are unaware or they're being deliberately intellectually dishonest or obtuse that this is a plot point that's been used numerous times long before whoever the popular or unpopular political candidates of the modern day are. That's something that's been happening since time immemorial. Okay, this is not news. People just want to. I'm not saying it never happens in terms of like there's deliberate intention there of trying to mirror that. That obviously does happen, but there are a lot of times where people just try and force a insertion that actually isn't happening.
There's a lot of forced insertion in The Boys, and that's where I lose interest.
Yeah, there is a lot.
All right, well. Noted.
They did something dark with essentially a Skinwalker type character who's like a shapeshifter. They did something dark with them that I was like, that's not bad. That's twisted, but it kind of lose your.
It was when we got to the Batman surrogate and he had the sex dungeon. And
that was
in
horrible.
The rubber, and it was like he was getting pegged. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I watched this for other reasons. Like, it's the type of situation where, like, if you're watching it and somebody walks in, they're like, who are you? Like, what are you watching? Like, it's really embarrassing.
I really don't need that. I'm going to repeat what I said before. I'm good, actually.
Yeah, you can be pretty good.
I'm good. I'm okay.
You're making me not want to watch it, and I have to finish the show.
Yeah,
I'm
it
glad
sucked
I
you
didn't
in, right?
start.
You know how the world is unjust, or how I know the world is unjust? Because The Boys has continued to live on, and The Tick got canceled. The Tick was a good show.
The Tick was
Are
a
we
great
talking about
show.
the live action or the cartoon?
The live action with Peter Serafinowicz.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
okay,
both
okay.
actually.
I watched the cartoon quite a bit as a kid.
I would argue the lesser of all Tick properties is the Patrick Warburton show.
Yeah, and that one was still pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. He was a good choice, but Peter Serafinowicz, aka the voice of Darth Maul in the actual movie, not the Sam Witwer from the cartoon,
Yeah.
he just does a hell of a job. That voice is great. Arthur's great. Like the VLM, the very large man, that was just like a 10 out of 10 show. That's what I'm into in terms of like quirky, weird superhero shit. Give me The Tick. The Boys got weird. I kind of liked that tangent. Let's check in with the audience because we got a lot more people joining us tonight. So thank you, folks, for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel. Xavier to God, we read that message from you. Let's see. Xavier to God says, you guys have read more Spider-Man comics than me. Yes, I have. And I saw a comic page of Spider-Man fighting Daredevil, and he says he hates Star Wars. Is that a new comic? I don't know, because I'd have to see the artwork. If you showed me the panel, I could tell you what era it came from. I could probably tell you who drew it.
I'd have to see the panel. I know within the last maybe within the last year or two, there was an issue of Daredevil that Peter very briefly fought him because Daredevil is supposed to be not active right now, but he was trying to do something anyway. I don't remember the specific reason because I don't keep up with Daredevil comics enough. So it's possible that happened in that interaction, but I genuinely don't remember. It wouldn't have been in a Spider-Man comic that I can think of off the top of my head, unless it was during the Zeb Wells era, in which case I don't know, and I'm not going to look for you because I don't want to have to put bleach in my eyeballs.
Well, I have the hack method where I buy all of those crappy issues secondhand on Black Friday for maybe a quarter. Like my local comic book shop wants to clearance them out. So I picked up tons and tons of back issues of like modern shitty Spider-Man for pennies. So I have them all. I ain't feeding the beast that way. But Xavier to God, if you want to tag me on Twitter, I will happily see if I can identify when that book comes from. I'll tell you this, the first time Spider-Man met Daredevil, Star Wars didn't exist. Because here's your little factoid of Spider-Man for the evening. The artist, formerly known as John Romita, was given the job on Daredevil, but low-key, Stan Lee was testing out to see if he could do Spider-Man. So they wrote a story with Spider-Man meeting Daredevil, and Romita knocked it out of the park, and then Romita became the premier artist on that character forever. Like, even to this day.
He was long. How many years was he the main artist of the Amazing Spider-Man book?
Not as many as you would think. Because he got a job a few years in as the art director of all of Marvel Comics. So he was the art director, the house style. He would do all the ads. He would still do books because he's in it from 39 to into the 80s, I think. And then Buscema takes over for a minute. And then he comes back. Then
to his credit, Buscema is a pretty well-regarded Spidey artist as well.
Well, I wouldn't say regarded Spidey artist. I'd say he's just a well-regarded Marvel artist. Like, he's one of the Marvel artists of all time because his run on Spider-Man is very small. We're talking like 5 or 6 issues. But
was it really only that many?
Yeah, he didn't like drawing the character. A lot of people hated drawing Spider-Man because of the webbing. I think it's easy because it adds roundness to your character without having to do a lot of rendering of the muscles. You can kind of cheat with Spider-Man. You can do a basic body.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are very few actual muscle lines unless you just have a really detailed style in general, in which case, well, sucks to suck. You chose to draw like that. That I feel like as somebody who's not an artist, and therefore I'm talking out of ignorance, you do get a little bit of cheat there with all the extra lines that are already there on the suit.
Yeah, it does. Now, sorry, I was responding to a message we got on Twitter. Xavier to God, just text me that, and I will let you know. Xavier the God also says, I saw an Instagram post saying Tom Holland fans want Peter Parker to have a male love interest in Spider-Man 4. I don't know if that's actually being said. That's got to be bait.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm
like
sure it's bait, and it just sounds. Look, if that's, it's social media. Like, stupid people exist on social media all the time. In fact, stupid people live on social media. You should go outside. You should touch grass. You should hug your dog. You should probably go hug your mom as well. And like, get off social media. A lot of people need to do that. There are so many people that do that constantly, that try and do the stupid shipping thing with, oh, this character should be with this character. And it's 9 times out of 10, a freaking, gay romance. Just stop. It's probably not a thing. It's not something, look, even modern Marvel isn't going to do that. They're not. It's not going to happen. As much as modern Marvel is pretty stupid in a lot of their decision making, that's not a decision that they'll make.
No, there's no reason to.
They'll come up with another derivative Spider-Folk character, and then they'll do it with them, but they're not going to do it with Peter.
Let's see. We had another one come in from our friend Beautiful Joe. That's a good game. Crossed was also an inspiration for Doom mod called Greza 2/Do. Like I said, I just learned what Cross is today.
I'm not good at Doom, so I don't play it.
That new one kicks ass. I'm all about the new Doom.
It looks really great. However, it looks like I would be even worse at it than I am at the prior one. So I was like, I'm so glad there are people that are having fun with that game. I'm going to be over here with Monster Hunter and looking forward to Stellar Blade next month.
Next month, I don't know what I'll be playing. I probably won't buy anything new because it's not even a price issue. I can't get... My complaint with modern games is you get so many cutscenes and they're trying to tell a story. And I'm not knocking storytelling. I like stories, but I play games for gameplay and a version of a digital skill, like reaction time. For me, Doom's fun because you got to survive. I really don't want to sit there for 30 minutes and watch characters talk. Like, if I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie.
That's fair. So I'm kind of in between because I play some games for the story because I genuinely love the story and the characters, but I'll crank it up to the highest available difficulty level, like say Persona or Xenoblade or whatever other JRPG, which I have a very long list of ones that I'm behind on, which sucks because those are all, 100+ hour games. But then I'll play other games where it's just like, I just want to kick some ass and I'll crank that up to the highest difficulty. So like when Team Ninja released Ninja Gaiden 2 Black a couple of months ago, just out of nowhere, they just shadow dropped. I was like, well, Ninja Gaiden 2 is my favorite one in the franchise. Hell yeah, I'll play a remaster of that. And I beat it in a weekend because that game's just short enough to where if you put in a handful of hours each day, you'll knock it out in about 10 to 12 hours probably, if you know what you're doing. If you're getting your ass kicked left and right, it'll take you longer. But I beat the original one back on my 360 in college, and so I knew what I was doing still. Muscle memory. How about that? And then you have games like Elden Ring that, there are no cutscenes for it, and it's just all about the challenge. I'm like kind of in the middle because I love a good story in a game, but sometimes I just want to be able to play something, kick some ass, and beat it. That's one of the reasons why I love Monster Hunter so much, because then I can just go on some missions, beat up some monsters, and call it a day. I don't have to spend 8 hours in order to feel like I accomplished something.
Xavier God says, would you guys watch a Resident Evil 4 show?
Maybe.
As long as it was adapted well. If it was adapted to where the story was somewhere between the original and Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is almost identical, honestly. And I say that having played and owned Resident Evil 4, the original, on every available console, including PC, which I haven't played it on PC, but I own it on everything else. Yeah, sure, as long as it's a faithful adaptation, but I don't need an adaptation that looks and sounds and feels nothing like the actual source material. If you're going to do that, then no, I'm good. Like if you're going to do the Netflix thing that they did with Was the Netflix one the Umbrella? What was it? What the hell did they call the Netflix Resident Evil? Was that
Not Umbrella Academy.
No, not Umbrella Academy. That's different. That was.
Oh, I know.
DC.
It had a musical element to it, which was stupid.
It was the no. That was it Raccoon something? Did they didn't call it Raccoon City, did it?
That's a movie. Welcome to Raccoon City.
What? Okay, I'm trying to remember because there were two fairly recent, I feel like, live action adaptations that weren't the Mila Jovovich ones. That, from everything I was hearing about them, made me feel like I was missing the live action Paul W.S. Anderson and Mila Jovovich ones. Like, oh man, like if you're gonna like butcher it, at least make it stupid and fun, not just stupid. I'm good, thanks. I don't need that. I'll just honestly, I'll just watch the CGI Resident Evil films because those are all actually recently rewatched all of them, including the Infinite Darkness. I think it's a 4-part series that was on Netflix. Those are all fantastic, and they fit right within the Resident Evil universe. But that recent live action one that they did, nah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I'm out of Resident Evil. That one show was horrible. Now I'm remembering on Netflix that the girl and her sister, right? They were like little kids in the beginning.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can live without that. So, I think we've reached a good point with tonight's show. What do you guys think?
I think so also. Yeah.
I think it was sweet and buttoned up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
Normally,
2 hours
I like
is
sweet and buttoned down, but that's that's dependent upon the person.
That is not. Look it. The person you're talking about, maybe in the chat. She's not on the stream right now. So, hi, I know you're out there. We see you. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for all the support you've shown the channel. We had a lot of fun. It was fun to see some Scott Steiner babies. It was fun to see all kinds of stuff.
That clip was hysterical. I think that was my first time seeing it.
Well, thanks to Georgian. That's why you got to see it.
Shazorjan, thank you, because that was hilarious.
So, anything else to say? I don't know. It's kind of weird. We have more people rolling in as we're closing up shop tonight. So I guess what I should say, folks, is join me on Thursday night for another show. We're going to be reviewing Mission Impossible. We're also going to do a bracket battle of Mission Impossible. I got a couple emails that you guys liked that.
Oh, man.
I know.
I wish I'd gotten into the earlier shows so I could see it, and I would have. I don't do this. I don't invite myself onto shows, but Mission Impossible is my favorite movie franchise of all time. So I would have somehow found a way to get the link.
If you are if we're still streaming when you get out of the theater, which I don't think you will, because you're seeing it. You said 10 o'clock.
I'm seeing the 10 p.m. one. You guys are going to be done.
We'll be off the air. I would say, like, I'll probably be asleep, but if we happen to be on the air for some reason, you call in, we will play it on the air.
All right. I'll hold you to it.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for watching. We'll be back on Thursday. Until then, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. The following is a clip from the World Class Bullshitters live show, broadcasting live here on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. You're invited, and bring a friend, and then they'll tell